overnight said for the second consecutive year that drug overdose deaths are down. The last 3 seconds is the only time you're going to hear that on CNN today.
You don't know that. I just have a final question, a sensitive question, and it's a political question. It's a substantive question. I don't want to talk about your marriage. I know that there are issues there. Your husband, George Conway, he's a lawyer.
Did you just say?
Your husband, George Conway.
Did you just say there are issues there? You don't want to talk about marriage?
I don't want to talk about. No, I don't want to talk.
Why did you say that?
I don't want to talk about your marriage. I don't want to talk about I want to talk about a substantive point that your husband, George Conway, made. He was on television all day yesterday during the first day of the impeachment hearings, and he said this about the President of the United States. I just want your reaction to the substance of what he said.
So before you play the clip, which I haven't seen, why? And why are you doing that?
Because he's a legal scholar, he's a lawyer, and he was really going after the President of the United States, and he was all over television yesterday.
And come on,
I just want you to.
And he's married to me.
But, you know, he happens to be married to you. What's wrong with that?
You can run the clip of Jeffrey. He happens to be married to me. That's bizarre.
Correct. But he's also a legal scholar. He's got a substantive point. Listen to
I like Jeffrey Toobin's point. Your senior legal analyst. I loved his point on CNN yesterday. We don't have to play a competitor's clip. You could just play the CNN clip where Jeffrey Toobin said it's a problem that Taylor and Kent never met Donald Trump. He said to Jake, it's a problem.
I'm not disagreeing with
Jake Tapper said something
I'm not disagreeing with either.
They might have to meet the whistleblower, at least talk to him or him in private, because you have to be able to confront your accused.
Right.
But you should not have just said to your audience, I don't want to talk about your marriage, quote, I know there are issues. Why would you say that? What is it that
I don't want to talk about your marriage.
Why would you say there are issues?
Listen to what your husband said. I'll play the clip.
The problem with Donald Trump is he always sees himself first. Trump is all about Trump. And that's why it was inevitable he'd get himself into the soup once again. And that's what this is all about. He was using the power of the presidency in its most unchecked area, foreign affairs, to advance his own personal interests as opposed to the country's.
All right, that's a serious allegation, a serious charge. He was using the power of the presidency, its most unchecked area, foreign affairs, to advance his own personal interests as opposed to the country's.
That is his opinion. And I don't think MSNBC was lacking for anti-Trump voices. And we've heard things like that said on CNN for 3 years. And we've heard things like that said on that network for 3 years and elsewise. And honestly, where is the shame? Where is the introspection of people who have said for 3 years, respectfully, Wolf, actually beginning in May of 2017, I'll quote your wife's husband right now. I won't talk about your marriage, but I'll quote your wife's husband. 2017, you asked Angus King, are we getting closer to impeachment? I mean, does anybody ever feel badly about getting it so wrong? We sort of look the other way of how wrong everybody was here and elsewhere with the elections. I was on your network every single day, as gracefully and respectfully as I could, laying out the case as to why Donald Trump would beat Hillary Clinton. I have a living, breathing video catalog, which is why I don't worry about anything. When people say, well, I always knew he'd win. I said it all the time. Really? Because you were sleeping when I was on TV in the morning and at night. So we have a living, breathing catalog on CNN and elsewhere. Here's why we're going back to Pennsylvania. Here's why we're going. It's the same stuff all the time. What you just quoted is said every single day by other voices, but you wanted to put it in my husband's voice because you think somehow that that'll help your ratings, or that you're really sticking it to Kellyanne Conway. And let me make very clear, you didn't stick it to Kellyanne Conway. I think you embarrassed yourself, and I'm embarrassed for you because this is CNN now. I looked up to you when I was in college and law school. I would turn on CNN to see what Wolf Blitzer had to say about war, famine, disruption abroad. I really respected you for all those years as somebody who would give us the news, and now the news is what somebody's husband says.
Do you know how many times we spoke about, James Carville and Mary Madeline, a Democrat and a Republican, happily married individuals who totally disagreed on all sorts of political issues. Do you know how many times? Do you know how many times I would ask them on television about the differences they had? They didn't get into a sensitive discussion as long.
I'm not in a sensitive discussion. You are.
Mary Madeline and James Carville, they would often totally disagree on television. They would have a serious discussion. Your husband made
Do you want to know what Mary
serious...
Madeline thinks of your line of questioning right now? Because I know.
I haven't spoken to Mary Madeline in a while. She's a lovely woman, James Carville, an old friend.
He's brilliant.
Very good people. You like them. I like them.
He helped do what I helped do.
I was just trying to get you to react to this allegation that the president was using the power of the presidency, its most unchecked area, foreign affairs, to advance his own personal interests as opposed to the country's.
Sure.
And you said fairly, you disagree.
I respectfully disagree,
that's
and I'll
fine.
tell you why. And you know who else disagrees? You know who else doesn't have information, evidence of that? Are the people who testified yesterday. Because they also don't know the president. They've actually never met the president. They admitted that yesterday. They were in no such calls about this.
Which is a fair point. That's a very fair point.
No, it's an essential point. It's not just a fair point.
There will be others who will testify.
We are not going to impeach and remove a president from